All right. Okay. Just like when we added and subtracted, you needed to have certain criteria before you could actually add and subtract. In order to add and subtract, you had to have the same index, so it had to be square root and square root, or fourth root and fourth root, and you had to have the same radicand. So the number, variable, or numbers and variables underneath had to be the same. Okay? Multiplying, all you have to have in order to multiply is the same index. Okay? So it's got to be square root and square root, or fifth root and fifth root. So you need to look at them first. Do I have the same index? Yes. These are both an index of 2. Okay? Once you have the same index of 2, okay, the second step is to multiply the coefficients. What are my coefficients? -4 times -1. That gives me what? +4. And my marker's dying. And I need a new marker. Okay, so you get a +4. Let's try this one. There we go. Okay, then it says multiply the radicands. So your radicands are what's underneath the square root. So 15 and 3. Which gives me, okay, so right now you multiplied the coefficients. So we have 4, you keep your index, so square root of 45. Okay, your last thing we have to do is simplify. Okay, so we need to break down that 45. What's prime that goes into 45? 5, and I'm left with 9. 3, and I'm left with 3. 3, and I'm left with 1. So we've got 3 times 3 times 5. What am I grouping in? 2s. I'm grouping my 3s. I got you. Okay, so this is actually 3 square roots of 5. And don't forget to bring down the 4. So my final answer is 12 square roots of 5. I told you multiplying is a lot easier than adding and subtracting. Okay. This glues in on page, where are we at? 81. What? If you remember how to make your little booklet, that's what we're making out of this one. It's our last little booklet of the chapter.
I'll break your back.
No, I
Justin.
Huh? What's that, Justin? Huh?
You people know how to do the booklet again? I forgot.
How's the hand feel?
What'd you do to your wrist? Man, Justin, go where Mike is.
I don't know. He was
You don't
playing
know.
linebacker yesterday.
All right.
He had to block.
If you don't remember how to make your book, take this and fold it in half, hot dog style first, with all of your stuff on the outside. Whoop. Whoa, that's really off.
Make your edges Christmas.
Okay. Once you have it folded in half hot dog style, you can then open it back up to a full sheet. And then fold it hamburger style. Justin, how did you know what I was going to say? Get out of my head. You're so smart.
Almost as smart as Ashley.
I'm laughing because I know you're lying.
Okay.
Okay. Fold it in half, hamburger style. Then you're going to fold it in half one more time.
Oh my goodness.
So multiplying radicals should still be on the outside when you fold.
My edges
So I
just
don't
be like
unfold
a
it,
football
unfold
right
it.
there.
Yes, you do. And then you cut to the crease.
You cannot unfold it after this.
Yes.
No, not this.
Okay. So everybody should be at this point right now. Unless you've already got yours completely done.
After that.
Okay. It's like
Open it back up. Fold it in half the other way. Okay. Once you get it here, you open it back up just once and cut yourself the little slit from the closed side to the middle.
Wait, I feel like I did this wrong. I don't know.
Now cut from here to that origin. Okay, so when you cut it, it should look like this. Then you're going to open it back up the entire way.
I don't know what I did wrong, but one of them was like not in it.
Because you didn't open it up the whole way before you closed it. So you have to open it up the whole way. Thank you. You're welcome, my love. If you need help, ask the person next to you.
I don't wait, you should just.
If they can't figure it out, raise your hand. I will come fix you. Now open it the whole way back up. Or have this one on. Yum, yum. Okay. You're having deja vu. All right, friends. Math time. We did the art of paper folding and now it's math time. All right. So, this one. This is the first one it starts us at. 3 square roots of 12 times the square root of 6.
3 times 1 is 9.
3.
Okay.
3 times 1 is 9.
Oh, my bad. 3 times
3 times 1 is 9.
My bad. She said, I told you I'm having a bad
3 times 1 is 3. Keep your square root. 12 times 6 is
72.
72.
I knew that one.
Find the prime factorization of
So find the prime factorization of 72, says Muhammad. So 2,
Can we not do 9? Or you could
9 is not prime.
You could do 3 too.
You could have done 3, yes. So 2, and that takes us to 36. Here, let's do 3, and that gives us 12. 3 and 4. 2 and 2. 2 and 1. So this is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. What am I grouping in? 2s. So I've got 1 set of 2s and 1 set of 3s. So you multiply what you pull out front. I pull out a 2 and I pull out a 3. So that becomes 6 square roots of 2. Last thing though, don't forget this coefficient you already had up front. So my final answer is 18 square roots of 2. That's just fancy. Interesting.
I wish I grew up in the old way for nobody grew up. Have you ever seen the movie Back to the Future? I wish I was there.
Miss Smith, are we allowed to have parties at this school? Like in-class parties or no? I don't.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Hi, girl.
She lives.
Girl.
Did you say yes?
Yes.
You said that.
Well,
Well, like, can we like order a pizza and like get it delivered to the school or no? Well, then no.
If your teacher.
Does it?
Yes.
Ah. Alright.
So, Miss Smith, at least it needs you to order.
Third tower.
For her.
All right. So let's take a look at this one. What's my coefficients on these two?
One.
They're both 1. So do I really need to write it?
No.
Nah. So we're going to take the square roots and we're going to multiply what's underneath. So what's 20 times 20?
40.
400.
That's a neck. Go ahead, neck. Everybody neck yourself.
Okay. What's x squared times x?
X to the
X.
third.
X to the third.
Which is X cubed, ladies and gentlemen.
X cubed, ladies and gentlemen. You are so brilliant, Jeremiah.
Mohammed said it first.
Oh, you stole his ideas.
Credit, bro.
No
Credit.
problem.
He gives credit where credit is due.
No problem, man.
All right. So if I break down 400, 5 and
90. Wait, no, 80.
okay, 80 is broken down by 5.
You said 6. No, you said 60.
Thank you. 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. 2 and 1. Holy cow. That one took us a little while. All right. So that right there is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times 5. And don't forget, we've got variables in this one. So we've got x times x times x. Whoa.
Poor X.
Or X.
Yeah, it's just one of them left over.
There's just one left over. That's
Like
so
they're
sad.
playing kickball, but he can't kick the ball, so they're not going to pick him.
He's that poor kid that always gets picked last. and just get shoved on a team. You're so nice. So we're grouping in twos. Okay, so you told me I have one little X left over. Out front, I'm pulling a 2, and a 5. So that gives me what, Jeremiah?
20.
20. 2 times 2 is 4.
Oh.
Times 5 is 20.
You got it.
20 square roots of X. Oh, don't forget the X out front. You're right. I almost forgot that. Almost forgot that. Shame, shame,
Shame.
shame.
Why was it so?
Shame.
Because we got a
Everybody
turtle
understand.
egg fry.
No, everyone, if you want to see a mistake, look across the room.
Okay, take a look at this one. Okay, take a look at this one. What's my coefficient? 1 and 1. And let it go. Guys, conversation. Stop. Focus. Okay. Square roots. What goes underneath the square root?
150.
150. N to the 5th. Whoa. Okay. N to the 5th. Remember, when you multiply, you add your exponents. Okay? That's one of our cardinal rules. I need to break down 150. 5. That leaves me with 30. I'm going to stop every time there's individual conversation, and let's see how long this takes. Because I'm tired of talking over people. Okay. You said what now, Muhammad? 5 again. That leaves me with 6. What goes into 6?
3.
And 2? 2 and 1. So we've got 2 times 3 times 5 times 5. And don't forget my 5 ends. I'm grouping in twos. So a 5 and 2 ends are coming out front. So we've got 5n squared. Square root, you said what, Lydia? 6n. You have 2 and 3 left over. 2 times 3 is 6. And then you've got a lonely little n left over. So 6n. Oh, he says, what the crap is the next problem?
Oh my gosh, you said the C word.
Okay. This may look like a horrible, ugly mess. Okay? It's not that bad. It's not that bad. So, you remember when I had problems like this, where I had 2 times x plus 4. And this became 2 times x, which was 2x, and 2 times 4, which is 8. That same process is going to happen here. Okay? So, we take the square root of 3 times 5. What's my coefficient?
Wow.
A 1. What's my coefficient with the 5? 5. So 1 times 5 is 5. Is there a square root here for this to multiply with? No, so it becomes 5 square roots of 3. Super easy. Whenever you multiply a radical by just a number, you just multiply the coefficients, keep the radical. Okay? Plus, okay, 1 times 1 was 1. So Mo said I keep my square root, and 3 times 3 gives me 9. I need to make sure that these are simplified
9 has
now.
a perfect square.
9 is a perfect square.
So a 3.
It's a 3. Does this reduce at all?
No.
No. 5 square roots of 3 stays. It can't be done, but Muhammad said 9 is a perfect square, so it becomes plus 3.
It's just plus 3.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Because you would group it, you would have nothing left over, so it just becomes 3. It's a perfect square. Okay. If you need to visually see that, 9 is broken down into 3 and 3, which is broken down into 3 and 1. So that becomes 3 times 3. When I group in 2s, the 3 comes out and there's nothing left over, and that's why your square root disappears. Okay. You can't keep it if there's nothing left to put underneath of it, because the square root of 0 is 0.
Even 0 has a perfect square.
Zero.
All right, flip it. We got 2 more. Oh my
So
God.
These are kind of like distributive property.
Yes, these are distributive with radicals.
No, it's too much.
Okay. All right, so same process. I have a 2 is the first thing I'm multiplying against. Well, when I multiply a whole number, that just gets multiplied against my coefficient. So my first one becomes negative 6 square roots of 3. Okay, you took your coefficient, the negative 3, and multiplied it against the whole number, which was a 2, to give you the negative 6. And there is no radical, so you just keep that square root of 3. Okay,
Minus 3 square root.
fantastic. Okay, this would have been a plus, but when I multiply the coefficients, this becomes minus 3, because that's negative 3 times 1. And square root of 18.
So negative 6 square root of 3 can't be reduced, right?
No, negative 6 square roots of 3 cannot be reduced. But let's check out 18. I can break down 18. 2 and 9, 3 and 3, 3 and 1. So 18 is 2 times 3 times 3. Bless you. Okay? We group in 2s. So this is actually 3 square roots of 2. And don't forget to bring down that negative 3 that you already have. So this is technically negative 9 square roots of 2. And Jalecia said negative 6 square roots of 3 cannot be reduced, so it just comes down. Square root of 3 and the square root of 2 cannot be added together. They don't have the same radicands. So you keep them separate, and that's your final answer. Questions? All right. Let's try this last one. Square root of 3 is being multiplied by everything inside the binomial. Okay, so coefficients first. 1 and negative 5 give me negative 5. Square root of 30, good. 3 times 10 gives me 30. Plus coefficients first. 1, we're not going to write it. Square root of 18. So we're going to cheat a little because we just broke down 18 in the last one. So we know that 18 is 2 times 3 times 3. We grouped in 2s. So this became 3 square roots of 2. Okay. We already did that one. Why do the extra work if we've already done it? We now need to break down 30. 5 and
3.
6.
Oh, I mean 6. And then 6.
3, 2, 2, and 1. So 30 is actually 2 times 3 times 5. Can I circle anything?
No.
No, so what happens?
It multiplies all together.
It stays the same. There's nothing we can do. So -5 square roots of 30 cannot be simplified. Can I add these two together?
No.
No. The one's a 30, one's a 2. So that's my final answer. I am finished.
Except for folders, I like you.
Okay. This is going to glue in on page 82 towards the top. I'm going to make up one more example so we can do this together. So you can see the most difficult problem that you may ever see. I do not know if they're going to use one on your final, but I'd rather have you prepped for it than not show you and then you see it and you're like, oh my gosh, she didn't teach me this. Okay, so glue this towards the top of page 82 so we can write in one more example at the bottom. He says it's going to be a big one. Watch. Here it comes. Mwahahaha.
Hey, do you watch a Cake Wars?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the stuff.
What?
I'm just watching that show.
Then yes, you don't understand that's what's bad.
If you have Netflix, the Great British Baking Show is quite awesome.
Yes, yes it is. That show.
Yes, nailed it was really good too. Nailed it.
I remember Lisa guy was doing.
Sugar Rush.
I've never seen Sugar Rush yet.
Cake Boss. Cake Boss.
I'm in the middle of rewatching Hell's Kitchen because I love Gordon Ramsay.
All over again?
Yes.
He has the soap on his restaurant is awesome.
All right.
Oh my gosh, that show.
Here it is. Here's our last problem.
Easy. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
No, wait. You know how to do this.
Get this written down. You know how to do this.
Do we
Okay? You know how to do this. So please don't look at it like it's some kind of foreign object. You're like,
It's
no.
not from Earth.
It is from Earth.
Not my Earth.
Not your
It's
Earth?
made by the human brain.
Apparently you're not from this Earth then.
You're right.
Okay.
Alien.
So just like you would have done, listen, just like you would have done if this was x plus 2 times x plus 3, and you would have done the FOIL method, first, outer, inner, last, that's what we're doing here. So the first thing we need to do is multiply our first terms. So -4 times 3. -12. I need to multiply my outer terms. -4 times the square root of 3. -4 square roots of 3. Okay, remember, when you have a number times a radical, you multiply your coefficients. So -4 times 1 gave us the -4, and there is no radical, so we keep the square root of 3. We need to multiply the inner now. Negative square root of 3 times 3. -3 square roots of 3. Again, -1 times 3 gives you that -3, and you keep your square root of 3. The last thing I need to multiply is negative square root of 3 and positive square root of 3. Negative square root of 9. Because you've got -1 and +1. Keep your square root, and 3 times 3 gives us 9.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got like terms, which are what? -4 square roots of 3, -3 square roots of 3 become what? -7 square roots of 3. Okay, Muhammad, what did you tell me the square root of 9 was the last time? 3. So this is actually -3. So you actually have two like terms. You can put together your square roots of 3, and you can put together your -12 and -3, which is -15.
It's just big.
You just helped us. That was real.
I'm glad you
I
all
went
fixed
to
it.
sleep.
Questions on multiplying?
You got some food?
Okay. We are done with notes.